Video is Joshua versus Dubois Faceoff. You probably wouldn't see it because on the title, because for some reason YouTube keeps kicking me out, but I've got in now. So my thoughts, I've just finished watching the face-off between Joshua and Dubois, the official one. I didn't see the unofficial one, so I've seen the official one. It's been out the last hour or so, so I've just watched it. And I'd heard people's comments on it beforehand. So these are my thoughts on Joshua versus Dubois face-off. So at the start, Joshua's body language, as far as I saw it, was somebody who had a lot to say, but was, you know, Eddie Hearn is paid to do a job, and his job is to promote the fight, right? It's not Joshua's job to promote the fight. You know, it's Eddie Hearn's role to promote the fight. So, and you'll find that Eddie, throughout the whole of this interview, or this face-off, Eddie did a lot of the talking. So that's Eddie earning his money, while Anthony Joshua kind of sat back and listened. Now, it seems to me, it's not the first time I've seen Joshua look, I wouldn't say the word tense, I would say a lot of bottled up emotions. So now, the one thing that comes to my mind that I'm thinking is that the stuff about Dubois knocking Joshua out in sparring was a bit over exaggerated, right? Because when Joshua actually put the question to them, it was like, okay, so you said this guy turned my lights out. They're like, oh no, well, it happened when he was 17 years old. It happened a long time ago, 7 years ago, or some stuff like that. And then Warren was like, oh yeah, that's what I heard. So you can tell that there was some fabrication there, because when questioned about it, they couldn't come out and say, yeah. Dubois could have turned around and said, yeah, I chinned you sparring. I did chin you. Well, you can't remember I chinned you. Never said that. So there was a bit of, as far as I'm concerned, hesitation there. So that kind of like unraveled a lie to me. Because Joshua was saying, well, you've been getting your clout, you've been getting your reputation based off of my hard work. You've been getting it, basically. You haven't done as much as I've done, but because you supposedly chinned me in sparring, that's why everyone's kind of like bigging you up. But it's not actually true. You didn't chin me in sparring. You caught me with a good shot, but you didn't chin me. And I think Joshua took offense to that because of the constant lies and like the hypocrisy. Because another thing they talked about, the change of trainers, Joshua kind of pulled up Warren about, well, when I changed trainers, you said that the coach, it doesn't matter what coach you go to. Yet now Dubois changed coaches and it works for Dubois. So I think the hypocrisy and the lies, for what it seems, either lies or fabrications, Joshua was fed up with. And this is the opportunity for him to put it right and say, listen, let's put this clearly here and get this right out there now. Then, like, Dubois said he was away in Brazil. And then, like, Frank said you couldn't tell him about it. But yet, Joshua said, yeah, I know what you're doing. You were out in Brazil. So it's like just a shake. And then it's like we got spies everywhere. So it's to make Dubois paranoid. A lot of the stuff that Hearn was saying was to make Dubois question himself, question his ability, question, what he's doing, where he's going. Are you sure? Joshua's boxed against Klitschko and he's boxed at Wembley and he's boxed in front of a big crowd. But yet, Dubois studying stuff against Usyk and against Hrgovic with a lot of pressure. I think it was not the 5v5. He was under pressure there. So he fought against Miller. So, they're trying to diminish his achievements in a subtle, sly way, which Hearn is pretty good at doing that. And of course, they've got to be a little bit more clever about it because obviously Turkey's watching all this as well. And the relationship between Hearn and Warren still got to be professional. Competitive but professional, and they can't be going over the edge. So that's something I noticed as well. Dubois said he was ready to fight, and I can actually believe that. And they said something about, well, okay, could AJ take those shots? Frank Warren and Dubois know that AJ cannot take the shots Dubois is going to be throwing. They know that based on what they've seen before, and obviously Dubois has been in the ring with him. And when they had a little wry smile when they said Dubois went, "Can AJ take those shots?" AJ didn't say anything, but if you look at AJ's face, it's like, I'm going to tolerate you. I'm going to tolerate your behavior because this is part of an interview and part of promoting the fight. Yeah, I'm going to tolerate you, but you're not on my level. Right? Kind of like, I'm your dad. You aren't going to disrespect me here. And when Dubois turns around and says to him, "If you want to go, you can go now." And like Josh was like, "What? Are you disrespecting me? Don't disrespect me like that." And obviously Joshua had to stand up and do something, because if he didn't, that's going all around the world. People would dislike. It's like, can't let him end on that. You've got to end strong. So Joshua got up because he was forced to get up, not because he was forced to defend himself, in the sense that he's the elder statesman there, right? He's the elder statesman. You can't have some young upstart come and talk to you like that, even though Dubois is the champion of the world. A lot of focus has been on AJ. A lot of people think AJ is going to win the fight just like that. But you got a young, hungry lion who wants to prove a point. And whatever happened between those two years ago, I want to take people back to the Hrgovic fight. And I said to you all about the Hrgovic fight. Hrgovic comes into this fight thinking he's going to take Daniel Dubois out because he sparred him when he was younger. Now, I can tell you stories that how Daniel Dubois, you didn't do well in sparring against Povetkin. I mean, I think I had stories about Povetkin back in the day when Joshua Dubois wasn't doing well in sparring against these guys. And that's how I knew that when he fought Joe Joyce, he would jack it in. I remember telling, can't remember his name again, Chris, because everyone was saying, Joyce will beat Dubois. I'm like, Dubois will beat Joyce. I'm like, when the going gets tough, Dubois is going to find a way out of this fight. And he did. And I think that's because of maturity. And his second fight now with Usyk, he was on top of Usyk. Usyk got dropped, whether it was low ball or not. And when Usyk went down, it shocked him. It shocked Dubois. I think he mentally fell apart because he was shocked. He was like, "Oh, I've dropped Usyk. I'm not meant to do this." He didn't think he was going to do that. And then Usyk got up, and then Dubois fell apart. It's like, what do I do now? I dropped him. And if you look at that, that's where Usyk then, like I said, Usyk is in two gears. When he hits you with the fluffy punches, and then he hits you with the rockets. When he hits you with the rocket, don't matter if you're Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Daniel Dubois, you're going to feel it. And he let the left hand go, real menace, and you saw what happened to Daniel Dubois. But before that point, Dubois the minute Usyk got up after the count, that's where Dubois kind of fell apart mentally. Because I don't think he expected to be doing as well as he did against Usyk, and I don't think he actually believed he could beat Usyk. You see, and if you don't believe that, when your opportunity comes to finish, you can't, because you're like, huh? That's why it happened. And then the fights against Miller and Hrgovic was like, if you get this guy hurt, if you can do that against Usyk, then imagine what you could do against Hrgovic. Imagine what you could do against Miller. And that's been, I think, the driving force for Dubois. So now they'll say, look, you listen to us now. You've beaten Miller. You've come for a tough fight, Miller. You've beaten Hrgovic, a guy that Joshua didn't want to fight. Remember when Joshua's been offered a fight to fight Hrgovic? Do you remember that? And Joshua didn't take the fight. Or whatever happened. He could have fought Hrgovic. But Dubois stepped in and took that fight. Yeah? So now we have the situation where Dubois beating a guy that Joshua didn't want to fight unless it was for the title. So now, it's interesting. Look, Joshua, he's big, he's strong, he's powerful, and if Dubois gets hit with that right hand, but he won't get hit with the right hand in the same way, because Hrgović was an unbeaten fighter, didn't have question marks about his chin. He hadn't been chinned, he hadn't been knocked out. He got dropped by the big one, arguably the biggest puncher in the division, and got up. Right? So, and Hrgović mentally or psychologically had something over Dubois because he beat him up he beat him up. But you see, the thing is now, the tables have turned. And I said that in the preview. And the tables could turn again. Joshua being too familiar with Dubois and thinking, oh, he's a little boy. He wants to be careful. Because if the little boy comes out fast, as he did against Hrgović, and he doubles up the jab, Joshua could find himself in a lot of trouble. Because Joshua, as far as I'm concerned, is a good fighter. He's a good boxer. And he's very good when he's able to box. Not when he brawls. When he brawls, he leaves himself open to the left, the left hook. He's open to left hook. As I said with the Ruiz fight, I said if he boxes, he'll be fine. As soon as he starts to brawl, Joshua can box, but he can't fight. There's a difference. Dubois can fight and he can box. He's a boxer fighter. But I don't believe Joshua can fight. I believe he can box. And he'll have to fight in this fight to keep this guy off him. Because the only way I see Joshua being effective in this fight is not off the back foot, but off the front foot. If he's going to be confident off the back foot, then I believe he's going to have to be off the front foot, using the jab and line up that right hand. He won't be able to do what he did to Ngannou, to Dubois. It won't happen like that. I don't believe so. Because Dubois will come out fast and use that jab. And that jab alone can hurt Joshua. You've seen Usyk hurt Joshua with punches. And he's coming up from, like, cruiserweight. So can you imagine what Dubois is going to do when he hits him with the jab or the right hand? I don't have that much faith in Joshua's chin. I don't. And I think if Dubois connects early, it could be an early night. He could, in theory, run straight through Joshua because the punch. People are saying, "Oh, the punches that Dubois took," right? But remember, you've got to throw those punches. You've got to have the confidence to throw those punches. And if Joshua had concerns about getting clipped by Andy Ruiz, God only knows what concerns he would have about getting clipped by by Dubois. So he's got the tools. His jab is not as good as Dubois, but he's got the tools to do the job. I just don't know when the going gets tough and those punches start coming in. Like, if Dubois comes out, I disagree with a lot of people. If Dubois comes out fast against Joshua and jumps on him early, I think he'd get him out there early. Seriously, because if he hits him, with the first shot he hits him and Joshua's hurt, Joshua doesn't throw punches back when he gets hurt. You watch him. He'll cower. He'll cower into a ball and he'll fall over. And his recuperative powers is not that great. So I'm telling you now, if I'm Don Charles, Joshua doesn't get the opportunity to stand off and throw them big right hands like Hrgović did. He doesn't. Hrgović has got better movement than Joshua. And he uses his jab better than Joshua to set up that right hand. So it's going to be an interesting fight. But if he jumps on Joshua, if he jumps in and Joshua thinks he's the landlord, he comes in with that landlord mentality, and then Dubois just comes and scatters everything. Because that's what I would say to Dubois. Listen, you train the way you did for the Hrgović fight, and get that jab, double and triple your jab up, push Joshua's back against ropes, and let your punches go. Let your punches fly. Literally. Because the work rate that Dubois got, Joshua can't match that. So don't even give Joshua time to think. Get out there and stick it on him. Make him fight. If Dubois decides to make this into a boxing match and slows the fight down against Joshua, he'll get knocked out. If he slows the fight down, he stands there and looks in front of Joshua and admires Joshua looking for an autograph, he will get knocked out. But if he sets the pace and he goes for Joshua, this fight could be over very quickly because it's punch resistance, and I would back Dubois' punch resistance much quicker than Joshua's. But we'll see. But this landlord and looking at Dubois like a little boy as it came out his mouth, he wants to be careful because the little boy could upset a lot of plans about 3 times. He could upset him because if he goes up with that mentality and doesn't respect Dubois as a grown man, he's not a little boy anymore. He's a grown man. And I would suspect one of 2 things were going on when Dubois went out to Brazil. Well, one of those things is with his new girlfriend. I suspect he's got a girlfriend now. So those are my thoughts. Out in the Brazil with his girlfriend. Yeah, I think Dubois got a girlfriend. That's my suspicion. He's probably out with his girlfriend enjoying life. Yeah, out in Brazil where he's not going to get, if he goes to America or he's gone to Brazil. I think so. He may do some training, but I think he's gone out there to find he's got his girlfriend now. That's what I think. I think so anyway. And I think, well, maybe he's had a girlfriend and now he's got all this extra rage in him now. I'm telling you, I think I'm joking. It'll come out. I'm sure it'll come out in the wash eventually because your mentality doesn't change just like that. There's something different in Dubois. He hasn't got that same innocence in his eyes no more. He's a grown man now. He's not a boy no more. And he was too young when he fought Joe Joyce. If you go back and look at the interview, him around the table with Joe Joyce, he's like a kid. Naive, wet behind the ears. But now he understands. He's still got that element of wind-up robot sort of thing. He's not... He seems still a bit sort of manufactured in the way he talks and stuff, but you wind him up and just let him go. You know, it's just, for me, it's just come out like you did against Hrgović and just use your jab. And if you use your jab, you'll disrupt Joshua's ability to throw punches. And if you disrupt him, and he's so busy trying to avoid the jab, the right hand comes and the left hook can come after that. That's what I see. Back him up, beat him up. For Joshua, he's got to defend that ground. I'm telling you, because I think Dubois is going to come like a steam train. Joshua's going to have to defend that. He's going to have to do a lot of tying and holding, and it's not a thing that Joshua does much. He doesn't do a lot of holding and tying up. He'll need that to disrupt Dubois' early spunkers, let's say. He's got to deflate Dubois early. For me, he's got to hit him with something earlier, drop him, hurt him, disrupt him. Otherwise, it's going to be a long, painful night for Joshua. That's what I think, based on what I'm seeing from body language and everything. And in terms of presses, I don't get many presses wrong in terms of body language and what's being said. But let's see. I could be completely wrong on this one, but the way I'm reading it, Joshua's looking at him still like a boy. Regardless of what his trainer may tell him, in his mindset, he's looking at Dubois like a boy. And the boy is looking at Joshua and going, okay, this is my time now. This is my time to put it right with you. We'll see. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section regarding the Joshua and Dubois review. And the face-off. And what did you think? And how do you pick up the energy? But Joshua trying to intimidate Dubois. Nah, that's not going to happen. It's not going to work. I don't think so. I think that Don Charles would have given Dubois the intel on Joshua, and on top of that, Dubois knows himself. So, yeah, familiarity can breed contempt. It's got to be careful. Joshua's got to be very careful in this fight. Yeah, so Dubois, Joshua, and Hrgović are two totally different fighters, two totally different mentalities. Like, they're both coming out with that bully mentality, but one's already been bullied, which was Ruiz, and then you had the Usyk fights. So Just something to think about there. Right, don't forget to rate, subscribe, and leave your comments. I'm out of here. Take care. Good night.